All right, we're about to talk about a silent film from 1925. Now hold on, I know what you're thinking, but trust me on this. This is not just some dusty old movie. This is the film that basically invented a whole new language for cinema, and its DNA is hiding in some of your absolute favorite movies today.
So, take a look at this. A baby carriage just tumbling down this huge flight of stairs in the middle of total chaos. I'm guessing this rings a bell, right? You feel like you've seen it before. It's one of the most famous shots in movie history. But the story of why it's so famous? Well, that's where things get really interesting.
I mean, Brian De Palma straight up lifted it for The Untouchables. You can find nods to it in Star Wars. It's even been parodied in comedies like The Naked Gun. This one single, terrifying image has been copied and celebrated for almost 100 years.
So where did it come from? The answer is a 1925 film called Battleship Potemkin by a director named Sergei Eisenstein. And how he made this scene wasn't just about making a great movie moment. It was about teaching film how to create pure, heart-pounding emotion in a way no one had ever even imagined.
Okay, so let's get into it. Before we dig into all the game-changing film techniques, you gotta know the story. And honestly, it's pretty straightforward. It's this incredibly powerful story about injustice, and it's all laid out in 5 simple acts, almost like a classic play.
So here's the quick play-by-play. It all kicks off because the sailors are being fed rotten meat. Seriously, maggots in the soup. This sparks a mutiny, and they take over the ship. They bring the body of their fallen leader to the port of Odessa, and the local townspeople come out to support them. That support leads to the famous, horrifying massacre on the Odessa steps by government troops. And it all ends with the Potemkin facing down the rest of the fleet, which then refuses to fire and joins the rebellion. And this is the line that just nails the whole conflict. After the leader of the mutiny is killed, they display his body with this sign. Talk about a gut punch. It's so simple, so stark, and it perfectly captures the brutal injustice of it all. It turns one man's death into a symbol for the entire uprising.
But here's where things get really cool. It's not just the story Eisenstein tells, it's how he tells it. And that brings us to the film's secret weapon, this revolutionary idea called montage.
Now, when you hear montage, you're probably thinking of a training sequence from a Rocky movie, right? And you're not totally wrong, that's a descendant of this. But for Eisenstein, montage was something much more powerful. It was about smashing 2 completely different images together to create a third idea, a new meaning, inside the viewer's head.
And Eisenstein himself was all in on this. He said montage is the nerve of cinema. For him, editing wasn't just about stringing shots together to tell a story. It was the very thing that created meaning and emotion. It was the heart and soul of film. Let me give you a classic example of this. It's called the Kuleshov effect. Look at a shot of a person's face. It's just a face. Now look at a shot of a bowl of soup. It's just soup. But if you cut from the face to the soup, suddenly you have a whole new idea, hunger. And here's the key, the hunger isn't on the screen. It happens inside your brain. That's the magic trick. Eisenstein took this magic trick to a whole other level with something he called intellectual montage. He wanted to show this huge, abstract idea, the Russian people rising up. But instead of just showing an angry mob, he did something absolutely genius. He used 3 separate shots of stone lion statues. It starts with this one, a lion fast asleep. Then he cuts to a second statue, a lion that's waking up, raising its head. Now you gotta remember, these are just lifeless stone sculptures. They aren't actually moving. And for the final shot, he cuts to a third statue, a roaring lion, looking like it's ready to attack. So get this, not a single one of those statues moved an inch. They're just stone. But by cutting those 3 static images together, bam, 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 Eisenstein creates the feeling of something waking up and rising to power. He made a metaphor for revolution happen right inside your mind without ever showing a single revolutionary. All right, now let's talk about the main event, the Odessa step sequence. This is where all these groundbreaking ideas come together in what is, and I'm not exaggerating, maybe the most influential scene in movie history. This is where the rulebook for modern action movies was written. I mean, the stuff he invented here, we just take for granted now. He's cutting like crazy, from these huge wide shots of the massacre to these terrifyingly tight close-ups of people's faces. He's showing the same action from different angles to make you feel completely disoriented. He even stretches time. That baby carriage sequence goes on for way longer than it should, just to crank up the tension.
all while contrasting the robotic, relentless march of the soldiers with the absolute panic of the crowd.
And check out how he films the soldiers. You never once see their faces. They're just a terrifying machine of boots and rifles marching in perfect unison. He completely dehumanizes them to make them seem like an unstoppable force of death. Sound familiar? Think of the stormtroopers in Star Wars. It's the exact same trick, and it works every single time.
And the influence is just staggering. We're talking about almost 100 years of the world's best directors, from Coppola to George Lucas, all of them borrowing from Eisenstein's playbook. His visual grammar became the blueprint. Every time you watch a fast-paced, heart-pounding action scene, you're seeing the ghost of Battleship Potemkin.
So, what's the takeaway here? Let's be real. This movie was commissioned by the Soviet government. It is, without a doubt, a piece of propaganda. But is that all it is? Not even close.
On one hand, yes, it's propaganda. It simplifies history, it creates clear-cut heroes and villains, all to serve a political idea. But on the other hand, as a piece of art, it is absolutely stunning. The images are beautiful, the structure is elegant. It's a film that didn't just serve a revolution, it started a revolution in its own medium.
Which leaves us with a really fascinating question. Can something be both? Can a film that was designed as propaganda also be a timeless, genuine masterpiece of art? I mean, Battleship Potemkin makes a pretty strong case that the answer is a resounding yes.
In the end, I think this quote just says it all. This movie isn't just one for the history books, it's the film that showed all the other great films what was even possible. It proved that cinema could be more than just a story, it could be art, it could be a weapon, it could be a revolution all on its own.